Well, good evening, Wyatt. Welcome to the Great Marvel Postmortem. The time is 2:05 and 52 seconds. I'm Joel Mack, as always. With me is my glamorous co-host, Wyatt Beard. Tell me, Wyatt, what is an emissary from hell?
Okay, I have personally been referring to it as Toei Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm comfortable calling it Toei Spider-Man.
Yeah, officially in its official releases that exist, it is called Japanese Spider-Man.
I've also seen Supaidaman, which is of
yeah.
course the Romanji for Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called Spider-Man, but for differentiation preferences, we'll call it Toei Spider-Man.
Yes, we are talking about Toei Spider-Man, the series that began and ended, it began in 1978, ended in 1979, ran for a season.
It did begin and end, you're right, yeah.
I
thought it not going anymore.
I thought it ran within the course of a single calendar year, but I was wrong. 78 to 79.
No, they managed to get it past Christmas.
Yeah. Produced by the Toei Company, who is probably most well known in the West as the creators of Kamen Rider and Super Sentai.
I think Toei is known in the West as the creators of most things.
Yeah, they're a big deal. This maybe is entirely out of pocket, but I was gonna say like the Disney of Japan. I don't know.
I'll allow it. Sure.
How about Warner Brothers of Japan? I think generally when we talk about tokusatsu, people, at least in the West, refer to things that are peers to like Power Rangers or Super Sentai.
Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, right. Stuff where they get in a big robot at the end.
Yeah, but yeah, the innovation with this show is that it establishes a very particular formula that is carried on into other Toei productions. We'll talk more about that later, but I guess or now I don't know. My notes are not well structured
if
here.
If you want to bring it up now, you can bring it up now. I have 3 key points, and then I'm ready to move on to fun facts.
Well, let's go over like what's going on here, because this ain't your grandpappy's Spider-Man. This is a very unique...
I mean, if you want to get technical...
it might be, yeah. If your grandpappy is from Japan, maybe this is his Spider-Man, but... yeah. So we have a radically different take on the Spider-Man mythology for this show. There's no Peter Parker, there's no New York City, there's no... Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, Uncle Ben, Aunt May, J. Jonah Jameson, all gone.
If we're going right into changes, please, we can go into changes.
I don't know how you can avoid talking about changes with this, yeah.
He's now Japanese, why?
He's Japanese, yeah. And so instead of Peter Parker, we have Takuya Yamashiro, who is a motorcycle racer. He gets his powers because a UFO from planet Spider crashes on Earth, carrying a man named Garia, who is an alien from Planet Spider, but he looks like a human, even though he's from Planet Spider.
Budget reasons. Right.
And Garia has come to Earth in pursuit of Professor Monster and his Iron Cross army that he leads to conquer Earth. And they get in a fight in the woods.
Not to be mistaken for the Nazis.
Yeah, very different. Well, not that different, honestly.
Yeah, fascism's fascism, yeah. But just to be clear, it's not literally Nazis.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Garia comes to Earth chasing Professor Monster, falls in a hole, stays there for 400 years, and then eventually Professor Monster ends up killing Taki's dad, and he also then falls into the hole, and he meets Garia, who gives him an Omnitrix from Ben 10 that gives him spider DNA, and bing bang boom, he's Spider-Man. Also, the suit is in the watch, like the Flash is written, and
he now has a car.
He's got a car,
spider car,
the GP7,
and a giant mech that's called Marveler and or Leopardon. I think there's a distinction between like when it flies and when it's got a head.
It's a ship called Marveler that transforms into a mecha called Leopardon. Yeah. Which is, as the name might suggest, leopard themed with a couple web accents. You know, whatever.
Yeah. And also, Takuya has like a family, I think.
He
He's got like
does.
a younger brother or sister, maybe a girlfriend, I'm not
He
sure.
does. He has all the things you mentioned.
Other than all that shit, it's pretty accurate, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah, so the story with this here is that there was a guy, Gene Pelk, he's living in
Yeah.
Japan, and he's like, wow, they love reading manga. It's so popular. How come there are no American comics here to also be popular? So he
That's quite an American response to say. How come not America?
so he calls up Marvel and is like, hey, I think you guys could be big here if you just like adapted your stuff right. And let me like go talk to everyone out here that I can, all the companies, Toei, etc. And I'm gonna come back to you with a deal. And over at Marvel, Stan Lee's in his office and he's like, okay, Gene. Yeah, so Gene secures this deal for a licensing agreement between Toei and Marvel, and it's an equal exchange. Basically, Toei can do whatever they want with Marvel stuff. Marvel can do whatever they want with Toei stuff. This ends up with a few Marvel comics published featuring Toei characters, and on the other side, what we get is this Spider-Man show. From there, they shoot a pilot, and then all of the executives that have any say over this get together. And the story, as I have heard it, is that everyone in the room watches it. You know, these are a lot of like Americans, executives from over at like Marvel, I believe New World Pictures at this time are watching this and are like, what the hell is this? This makes no sense. Except for Stan Lee in a shocking change of character for him, as it usually turns out when he's involved in a Marvel project. He's like, this is great.
Are you saying he didn't try to make it about himself? Are
No.
you saying he didn't say he came up with the idea?
No, he's like, this is great. The kids are gonna love it out here. It doesn't leave the island, is what he says. And for that reason, Japanese Spider-Man never immigrates out of the country for other audiences until 2009, like 40 years later.
It took a while.
It took a long time, yeah.
Spider-Man. My son. How are you? You look very good.
But yeah, I mean, I'm glad it made it out because I think I agree with Stan on this one. It's pretty fun.
It's alright. It's alright. I have my issues.
It does wear down its welcome a little bit over time. It's what do we got? 41 episodes in a movie. Yeah, it's they're very repetitive.
I mean, you see him turn into a robot once. Literally, you'll see it again another 40 times because they'll reuse the footage again and again.
The 42 episodes of this show that were produced in total, they shot 2 episodes in a week. Quick turnaround and like just crazy small budgets. Like really all of the budget each week like went to driving the cast and crew out to the same quarry so Spider-Man could fight a bunch of guys who look like ducks, and then developing like a new costume for the monster of the week each week.
At least every time he goes out there, he has a different one-liner to quip.
Yeah.
I wrote down all my favorite ones because it changes like every week. He's got a new one-liner. Here we go.
He pulls out. Hold on. He does pull out "All Reliable," the emissary from hell, like a few times though.
That's my number one.
It is the best one.
I'll never deny an emissary from hell. Spider-Man is the number one introduction one-liner he ever gave.
Mm-hmm.
I did also very much like Iron Cross Killer.
That goes
He's
hard.
straight up killing them apparently. Yeah. My third one, I am the man that needs no mercy. Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
He's kind of crazy with it, especially the one time he gets his hands on a submachine gun and just like guns down a room full of guys. He's
my
quirky.
number 4 though. My number 4, man moved by parents' love.
Oh, that one's great.
Spider-Man.
That one's so beautiful. Yeah.
What a beautiful one-liner he threw out.
Yeah, and that's such a point that we like hammer on like repeatedly throughout the show. Like this quest for he is motivated by justice, sure, but he is ultimately motivated by the vengeance over the death of his father.
Yeah, there is a lot of episodes that tie into like parental trauma. There's a
Right.
couple I watched. There's the motorcycle one, which I know you watched too.
Can you be more specific?
Where the sad dad episode.
Oh, yes,
where
yeah.
he's like, my son is in a biker gang,
Yeah.
and then he gets shot to death in a phone booth like Colin Farrell.
Bullseye.
What kind of machine bem does his son get turned into?
He turns into, I want to say it's like an iguana.
Yes,
or a
you're right.
lizard.
It's some kind of lizard. Yeah.
They have a lizard at the beginning of the episode that they're like, we just need some evil son to put in this lizard to turn him into a machine bem. We also have, there's one I watched, I'm not sure you watched because it's like a real late one, but there's, one thing that I'm so happy to bring up, Marvel car accidents are back.
I have a note about something in an early episode. Go on.
He's like a horror movie skeleton,
Oh,
like
boy.
from a Vincent Price
boy.
movie. And the plot of the episode is that he keeps causing car accidents so that they can take people's blood and feed
Oh
it
my
to
God.
Professor Monster.
Oh my god.
And that skeleton subplot is that he is the machine bem alteration of a father who has like a young blind daughter who's desperately searching for her father.
Oh no.
And that whole episode is so tragic. It's really like almost touching, this like parental trauma plot that they've weaved for this episode.
You know, speaking of horror, I wanted to point out episode 8 where the machine bem is a ghost cat. There are scenes that genuinely feel like they're pulled out of a Ju-on film. In that one.
Yeah.
It's-
the hospital in that biker episode, which
yeah.
is straight up a grudge hospital.
Yeah. There's also similar to Hulk, as far as I am aware, there is one episode where we have a returning character from a previous episode. There's a young boy who's injured during a battle between Spider-Man and the Iron Cross Army, and he needs a blood transfusion. So Spider-Man gives him his blood.
I know this one.
Yeah. And then the two of them become blood brothers. And that boy returns and is able to return the favor to Spider-Man, who has been poisoned and needs a blood transfusion. But before the transfusion happens, there's a line, I didn't write it down exactly, but I wrote down my memory of it, where the narrator, we do have a narrator in this show who spits out some pretty hard lines once in a while, especially
He does.
in this one, episode 11. He says, the boy prayed to God to take his life in exchange for Takiya's, but his prayers did not reach God. Like, Jesus.
There's another line that narrator says in the car accident episode. In search of the enemy, Takuya sets out and drives aimlessly. Which that wouldn't help really, but that's very like cowboy thing to do, I suppose. There's a history of Spider-Man and sick children, isn't there? There's an episode of the animated series which I think it's an adaptation of a specific comic.
The boy who
story,
collects
isn't it,
Spider-Man,
where-
or the kid who collects Spider-Man.
Yeah, where there's like a dying child that's
Yeah.
dying of some sort of terminal death illness.
Yeah.
That's like, Spider-Man, tell me more. And Spider-Man, that's maybe the only time he reveals his identity in a way that means anything, I mean.
Yeah. There's an episode with a similar beat to that in this series, where there's I don't know if you watch it. So it's just to like clarify, I guess, for people at home. I watched through episode 15 in sequence, and that includes the movie, which is just an episode they shot on widescreen. Well, you jumped around, so you caught some of the later episodes, is all I mean to clarify on.
You'll never know how many episodes I've seen of this show.
I think you watched 10
There's
episodes
only one
in a
episode
movie.
you know for certain there's only one episode I've seen because we watched that fucking weird cat burglar episode together.
Oh yeah, with Phantom 001.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool name.
I don't think that character
Cool as
returns,
shit,
but
dude.
there's another burglar later in the show called like Phantom 107 or something.
Nice. There was
yeah.
really 106 phantoms in between the
Yeah.
time
A lot
Spider-Man met the
happens, you know.
first one.
What was I talking about?
We're talking about Spider-Man.
Oh yeah. No, but like I was going somewhere. I don't remember.
Sick children.
Oh yeah. There's an episode where there's a kid who's getting bullied because he can't play sports with the other kids because he has seizures because there's a needle-sized hole in his heart. And Takia sees his younger brother bully this kid, and he scolds his brother over it, and then he visits the kid dressed as Spider-Man. And it's very similar emotional beats to like the kid who collects Spider-Man story, I would say.
There's a lot of episodes about like kids are going through shit.
Yeah,
it's just an interesting addition to this like Spider-Man show.
And it's interesting to see Takia continue to like befriend other young boys the same age as his brother, who he does not give a shit about. Like never does he ever do anything with his younger brother. Just other boys his age.
His younger brother got kidnapped in the film, and the guy's like, don't worry, I actually sent them on a cool pool party.
They get kidnapped like 4 or 5 times, I think. And how the Iron Cross army never puts it together that like we keep kidnapping this family except for the brother, and then a guy of similar build and voice to the brother shows up in a Spider-Man suit.
I think it's an alien thing, you know. I think aliens might not be aware of the classic tropes of media that we usually have. There is quite a definitive ending on this. I'm not gonna like spoil much, but it does end quite definitively actually, which is a refreshing pace for these TV series.
Well, because it was greenlit for the run that it had, and I don't think at that time Japanese television was produced the way American television was and is, like the idea of like, oh, if this is so good we'll keep going was like not a thing. It's like, we're gonna make a run of these, they're gonna air in syndication and just bring us in residuals.
But they weren't allowed to air in the syndication.
Well, syndicated in Japan. or was that not allowed?
No. We'll get to that in fun facts, brother.
Okay.
I might have something about that. Before that, you have read a lot of Spider-Man comics that we haven't had a chance to get into yet. Do you want to put your good work to use here?
Yeah, I do want to point out, so in episode 3, Phantom Thief 001 versus Spider-Man, we get once more a somewhat obtuse reference to Spider-Man's origin, with Phantom 001 nearly being run down by a car.
It's a classic, the run down by a car storyline.
Beyond that, this show has no bearing on anything in the comics. I do know, so the Peter Parker, mess it up. It's not Peter Parker. So yeah, Shinji Todo is the actor who played Takia on screen. For most of the suit acting, it was a stunt actor named Hirofumi Koga. And the stunt coordinator on set would often have the Spider-Man comics handy and would just like point at a panel and be like, do this pose. That's about as much play the comics
every time he poses, he does like 5 or 6 different JoJo poses, and they just like cut between all of them in jump cuts.
That might be filler for runtime because of the low budget, but
yeah, I mean that too. But the poses came from somewhere.
He is a great suit actor. I think like this version of Spider-Man like just looks great, like in how he moves and presents. The suit itself I'm even quite fond of at this point. Like
for the action scenes, I really enjoy that he moves around like a boogie freak.
Yeah, the
he
stunt
really
choreography
captures
is
that
fun.
like weird spider movement.
Yeah,
during the fighting,
and some of the actual like spider powered stunts of like crawling on walls and stuff and up buildings. Like it looks quite good. I know sometimes they're working with like sets that are built at a 90-degree angle, so he's crawling on a wall that's actually the floor. But like there are some stunts where like he's actually going up a building and there's like maybe a rope attached. Not always. So similar to what we saw.
Rope.
Yeah, they always place the rope so that it would be obscured by his body between that and the camera.
When he put the costume on, he was a bug to me.
Well, it's interesting with this show. Like when I was first watching it, the character of Garia, who gives Takia the powers of a spider. He dies pretty soon after that, but then is reincarnated as a spider, and I thought he was gonna be like almost like a Madam Web character from the 90s cartoon where he's like hanging around giving advice maybe, or like helping,
Yeah.
or maybe a better comparison is like Harrison Wells from the Flash TV show, you know, just like the guy in the chair.
Well,
almost.
if you want to go to DC, I'd say he's more like Abensur, but
Oh, okay, yeah. The role he ultimately
Green Lantern
fulfills,
alien.
yeah. That's what he actually is. But what I was thinking he would be is different, because I thought that telekinetic spider
He'd
version
live.
of Garia would hang around, but no, it just dies in the second episode.
Yeah.
He dies twice.
Whatever. He got his powers.
But,
We've had enough of this guy.
Yeah, on that beat with like the like parental relationships, I guess, like it is interesting that after his death, like Garia and Takuya's father like almost always come up together in the same breath, like even though they knew each other
Yeah.
for like 2 days maybe. Like that is clearly a paternal figure in his life. Do we want to get into fun facts?
We do. We really want to get into
Let's
fun
cruise.
facts.
Let's cruise along.
Ugh. I'm just stretching. I gotta get ready for fun facts. I gotta pop the lock.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Fun facts, as always, is presented by a sound clip from the show or film we're discussing. Wyatt has to guess where the sound clip plays. This week, Fun Facts is presented by... It's a really easy one.
Come on.
If you don't get this,
Come on.
you're fucked.
That's the first like opening syllables of the theme song that plays at least twice in almost every episode.
I had to put it in because it's beautiful, man.
It is a great theme song, and on the like similar notion of like how dark some of the like narration or dialogue can be, even though the tone is so light. There's some insane bars to this theme song.
I just love the idea of this narrator saying horrific things that are happening to Peter and following up with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a banger theme. It goes very hard, yeah.
That's all I could hear every time I started an episode. I started to sing along to just that part. It's just a beautiful take. Fun fact, Wyatt. Fun fact, after episode 12, every time Spider-Man's giant robot finishes up fighting a monster, the same explosion shot is used, but with the episode's monster composited in.
Yeah, I noticed.
Due to the nature of the splice, the very first monster of the series is always visible very briefly before exploding. Rumors persisted that the leopard suit had been stolen from the set. However, according to producer Gene Pelk's son, not Gene himself, his son had been on set and claimed the suit had not been stolen, and the switch to stock footage was a budgetary measure.
Yeah, I bet that's a suit that's like hard to like get into, so like save the time, I guess.
This was disputed by an unnamed set worker, however, who claimed the suit had actually been robbed at gunpoint by some sort of elf with a gun, perhaps named Malf.
Gene Pelk, by the way, the namesake for the GP7 spider machine.
Cool. I miss that dudes used to just do stuff. You used to just be able to call Marvel and be like, look, I'll try and sell your shit to Japan.
And they used to say, okay.
Do that to Feige now, he'll fucking send the kill squads after you. Fun fact, Wyatt. Takuya Yamashiro and Leopardon appeared in several issues of the 2014 and 2018 comic book events Spider-Verse and Spider-Geddon. Also, I think in the second Spider-Verse film, but I didn't watch that one, so you'll have to tell me.
So I do recall Phil Lord saying that if the first movie did more than 200 million at the box office, that he would put Toei Spider-Man in the sequels, one of them.
Didn't it do like $1 billion? It do so much.
Yeah, it did great. So he has had a promise to upkeep. I don't know if he's fulfilled it yet or if he will in the next one. I'll have to scrub through Across the Spider-Verse frame by frame.
Oh no, I'm not doing that. We'll just say it's in there, and if it's not, we're sorry. A version of Leopardon, however, as I wrote down here, does also appear in Ernest Cline's novel Ready Player One.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Wait, you sound like you're not excited for Ernest Cline trivia, Wyatt.
No, nothing about that man excites me. Especially his poem about pornography.
Fun fact, Wyatt, although the show's story was criticized for bearing almost no resemblance to the Marvel version, the staff at Marvel Comics, including Spider-Man's alleged co-creator, Stan Lee, praised the show for its special effects and stunt work, especially the spider-like movement of the character himself. They fucking loved it.
Yeah, there's a I guess it's lost media now, but there was a documentary series that Marvel produced for Disney Plus called Marvel 616. Each episode covering like a different aspect of Marvel history. The first one was about this show, the first episode, and there's a really sweet moment at the end where they are interviewing the actor who played Takuya, whose name once again is Shinji Todo, and they tell him, they're like, hey, did you know that Stan Lee really liked the show? And he's like, I had no idea. That's really nice. And he just kind of like very gradually like breaks into tears and stuff and talks about like how much fun it was making this and how much he enjoys having it as part of his life. This was his first like acting gig, really. Like he had been like an extra in some stuff, but not only was this his first like lead role, but like just his first like real role at all. So this was a very big deal for a lot of the people involved, it seems.
Well, I was gonna be a snarky asshole about Stan Lee, but I would just feel bad
go
after
for it.
hearing that.
We're punctuating that beat and moving to the next one. Tell me your Stan Lee snark.
We have 22 seasons worth of content to be snarky assholes about Stan Lee.
Fair,
Okay,
fair.
We'll let that one fly. That's really sweet. That's a great fun fact that you told me. I have one more fun fact for you, though. Fun fact, Wyatt. Because Spider-Man is a Marvel property,
Wait,
Toei
what?
was not allowed to rerun the series or use publicity stills of Spider-Man from the show without paying licensing fees to Marvel. As a result, only a single VHS collection of episodes was released in Japan during the 1980s. In 2004, however, Toei began renegotiating with Marvel for the rights to release the series on DVD. It worked. There's a Region 2 DVD box set. I think that's what I watched this on, was that DVD box set. It was released 2005. This is roughly around the time Ernest Cline released Nerd Porn Auteur, a slam poem that lambasts the job-oriented porn industry.
Ernest Cline is my Professor Monster. As far as he's concerned, I am an emissary from hell, and I will take my vengeance upon him. Are we into tier list territory? Have you run out of fun facts?
Yeah, that's it for fun facts. Did you have fun?
Yeah, better than the last one.
Cool. Fuck me. All it took was Ernest Cline. Did I make a mouth joke last episode? I hope I
did. You did. I remember.
I'm trying to make one every episode. We'll see.
We recorded this in the last one
run
in the same sitting to have a little inside baseball, so I remember because it was 40 minutes ago. Where do we rank this?
I'm feeling C.
Me too. I already wrote it actually, so we're good.
Well, what is? Okay, good. That's the easiest fucking choice I've ever made.
Yeah. I think it wears its welcome a little faster than like the American series, which granted was only like 13, 14 episodes. So it's easy to do, I guess.
That's always a plus.
But
It's
is
not
a lot
always
of
a
fun.
plus, actually. But because Doctor Strange was one episode and it's the worst so far.
Yeah, so far,
But-
I'm mentally mapping those films to the F tier already. That's it then, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Whoever's editing this one, I think I may have mentioned what we're talking about next week. Just edit that out.
Did you? Oh, I mean, I just mentioned it right now, I think. So,
No, you mentioned the cereal. You didn't mention the films that we're talking about next week.
That's what I just said.
Oh shit.
That was another terrific autopsy from the postmortem crew. Good night and good luck.
Good night and good luck, sweetie.
We now return to
Spider-Man.